This week on Beer Fish Fanatics podcast episode, this is the second part of Denny. He's with the YouTube channel Float Fish Adventures. He's going to give us an opportunity to pick his brain some more in regards to kayak fishing and all that good stuff. So enjoy this episode.
Did you have a tarpon?
Yeah, I had a tarpon.
Yeah, I ordered. They came out with a brand new tarpon this season, the Tarpon 105, and I was like, I'll never get a kayak that short again. You know, because I started out with a 10-foot, just a little 10-foot send.
Yep. I had the 100, so that was a 10-footer.
And the 105, I saw it at Canoe Sport Outfitters there in the spring at their paddle thing, and I was like, God damn, that looks like a 12-foot kayak. It's roomy, you know, and the market. I mean, the price, the list on it is $800, $700. I mean, cheap. Really, for and like a nice and a solid kayak, you know. So I'm like, that would be perfect for like just puddle jumping and super shallow water, skinny water, putting it under bridges because it's lighter. So I ordered that. So I'm just waiting for that to get here.
So welcome everybody to part 2. We actually had to do a potty break from episode 1 there. So we were just talking about the brands and everything here with Denny and what he uses and what he recommends. And before he can continue on that, I just want to make sure we cracked a new beer so everybody can see. We're going to keep this local, definitely local to Central Iowa. Exile Brewing Company. I think we've had this before on the show. I'm not sure, but
I think we have.
It's the Hannah one. Is the Bavarian style wheat ale. We've had it before. We love it. I think we had the bottle one, and I'm gonna, just so everybody knows, before we get back to Denny real quick, is I'm gonna probably stop doing bottles because of Kith. I don't know if anybody watched a few episodes. I think last episode or a few episodes ago, he totally demolished his room's carpet, thinking he was cool trying to open up a bottle. So I might have to minimize the bottles just so everybody knows on that.
Oh, no short neck bottles, unless they're twist off.
There you go. All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you again, Denny, for joining us. He's with the infamous channel, Float Fish Adventures, and he has, been amazing here in regards to at least teaching me a lot of stuff about kayak fishing.
Amazing.
Oh,
I do my best.
Can I go back to the beer real quick? Okay. I didn't realize this, but I was drinking this last week, and just I'm trying to give the people a point of reference. This reminds me of Whole Garden, like for the taste. I've been drinking this beer for like years.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until last week I was drinking this. I was like, this reminds me of Whole Garden.
Yeah, we should do that from now on. So every time we drink a beer, so people who aren't from Central Iowa and can't get these specific beers, if they don't distribute out there, but you're spot on. This is completely exactly like Whole Garden if you've never had.
Yeah. I don't know why it took me this long to realize that. I was just drinking it. I was like,
it is.
Hey, this is what is like tastes like Whole Garden.
Yeah, we like to sponsor the. Or at least to give a shout out to the local breweries, because you know what? They provide us with amazing beer. So hopefully one day we get a sponsor.
Well, we buy the beer.
I keep
they don't
looking,
provide it for us.
I'm still in the, where's the camera? I'm still in the market. I'm still in the market for a beer sponsor.
See?
Right. On the YouTube channel.
Right. That's what I'm dude, we are called Beer Fish Fanatics. Beer Fish. Beer. Like, come on. Somebody's about to see this. Either a brewer. One of these.
You know what? Instead of a Busch Light can next to a fish, you know how people post a picture of a fish? Like, here's a Busch Light can for reference. Instead of a Busch Light can, maybe we can start putting a Exile can next to it.
Just saying. Hey, we're just putting it out there, guys. We're just saying.
Right.
Just saying. But we'll get back to, sorry, guys, this part too, because Denny was explaining, because I asked him the specific brands that he currently uses, what he recommends for someone like me who's going to go out, whether it's kayak fishing or just, catfishing in general, what brands and what, I guess you can say, products that he's recommend us using. I think you were just talking about the Wilderness.
Yeah. So I got an Attack 120, which is sit on top last year, and man, I love that thing. I'm really, really happy with it. And the truth is, I mean, yeah, that's that, and I'm on the Wilderness Systems team, and so of course I'm gonna pitch it a bit. I love their kayaks, but the truth is that any buying a kayak is there are a lot of factors to consider, right? Stability, speed, and all that stuff. That I guess if you're interested in getting into it, my number one recommendation, I would have two key points. Number one, there is a huge temptation, I know, for a lot of people because they think of all the upfront cost to go to the big box store and get something that's $300.
That's what I did.
Right? And the problem with that is there's two problems. Number one, those kayaks aren't truly engineered the way that the more expensive kayaks are engineered. They're not stable. They're not fast. They don't track well. Primarily, they're not as stable. And if you enjoy it at all, you are going to want to upgrade. And if you're going to go spend $400, $300 or $400, and then turn around and upgrade to something, you may as well just spend a few $100 more to get something that's an entry-level kayak from a legitimate brand, right? And there are many of them. It doesn't have to be. I'm not just pitching Wilderness Systems. So that is number one. Number two is find people who have kayaks and paddle them, because you won't understand anything that people are talking about when they talk about stability and speed and tracking, primary stability, secondary stability. Those things all mean something. And when you're new, when you're looking and trying to figure out what to get and people are telling you about them, it doesn't mean anything. If you go and sit in a kayak and paddle it, and then paddle a different kayak, and then paddle a different kayak, and then you're like, oh, I see what the difference is between a fast kayak where my nose is always going forward and my paddle strokes are getting converted into forward momentum, versus a kayak that doesn't track well, and when I paddle here my nose goes this way, and when I paddle here my nose goes this way. Those are all things to factor in, and getting to sit in kayaks and paddle them around, that will make the biggest difference. And then comfort. A kayak with a seat that's comfortable is really worth the money, let me tell you.
I think that was definitely my my biggest drawback that I did was the seating. I didn't buy one with it was a little bit. I had to sit on top, but I didn't get one with a good seat, so I kind of stunk.
So you're like 2 or 3 hours in, you're like, I'm already uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I want to fish a long time, but I'm already feeling like I want to get off the water because my ass is numb, right? And I mean, if it's another $100 or $150 might get into a kayak where you can fish all day. So is it worth it? You're going to turn around and spend that money later anyway. You may as well spend it up front, right?
Yeah.
So,
damn it, because Spencer said the same thing. I guess you guys know what you guys are talking about. Because Spencer did tell me the same thing. Like, you just go try out all the different kayaks and see which one fits you.
Yep.
And
yep. But man, the Attack 120, I love mine. I'm just gonna say, I love that thing.
So if you guys want to see the kayak that Denny's actually talking about, definitely check out his channel. I'll put the link and everything, obviously, and you guys can see it in action. See the amazing specimens of fish that he be reeling in.
Amazing.
Speaking of reeling in, so the type of reels, that was kind of another thing I just wanted to pick your guys' brains a little bit about. Like the reels for when you're catfishing, is there specific types of reels, whether it's spinning, casting? Because, okay, you look at, if I was just to go out right now, I'd get a medium, heavy, whatever pole, and I would just probably most likely just throw a spinning reel or whatever on, whatever pole, right? Is there any advantages in your guys' eyes, and the size, and what would you guys say? What kind of reel would you do if I'm gonna go catfishing? Like, what do you guys recommend? You can go if you want to.
Well, I think, like you said, it all comes down to like preference and stuff. Because I use all bait casting reels for me. And I guess I don't really have a reason, because with spinning reels nowadays, because you could probably find a spinning reel that does everything a bait casting reel could do, like the bait clicker. I think for a while that was, I think, pretty exclusive to bait casting reels.
Right.
But nowadays you could buy a spinning reel with a bait feeder.
I didn't want to cut you off. Okay, the bait clicker. I've been hearing this and seeing this and hearing this. I don't know what that is. Can you explain just what is it, the bait clicker?
Basically a bait clicker or bait alarm or whatever. It lets the fish, when they grab your bait and they want to run or they want to take off, then the reel clicks. That's basically as simple as it gets. So that clicking lets you know that, oh, there's a fish that's taking my bait.
So does the line just it
the
goes
line
freely,
goes out.
right?
So it's in a way, it's kind of like in between engage. So like if you're in free spool, there's so much play, right? That, I mean, you can cast obviously, and if a fish were to take off with it, that you might start to overspool, right? Where it makes a jerk, and then the line keeps spinning and unreeling, and then you get a mess. The clicker, you're in free spool, but the clicker is sort of like, you know how when you were a kid and you'd take the cards and put it into bicycle spokes, right? So it'd make the sound like a motorcycle. It's kind of like that, and so it slows down a little bit, and each time it cycles, it's got a click, right? So you can hear it. So it's free spool enough that there's no tension and the fish can move, but it's not complete free spool where it will just spin, and as it's moving off, you get the sound, so you can perk your ears up, because people typically use it for night fishing, and at night fishing it's it can be hard to know you got something going on your rod, so that the clickers are nice.
Thank you. That was a question I wanted to ask, but so we were talking with Denny earlier, and a lot of people like to go on forums and ask questions, and they get beat up on it, and that was kind of one of the questions I had, because I didn't know anything about the bait clicker, and I didn't want to go onto a forum and get beat up, because and by the way, if anyone listening or watching this, stop beating people up that goes on forums and ask questions. It was one of these things where some people just don't know or aren't experienced or just getting into it, so give them benefit of the doubt, help them out, answer the question, so they don't feel like that they can't ask a question without feeling stupid.
The only question, all right, listen, this is important. The only question you don't want to ask is the same question that every new person asks when they get into catfishing and they go on the forums. What's the best bait? Right?
I think I did that. A couple episodes ago, I think I did that. Like, well, I didn't say what's the best bait.
Right.
I asked, like, what's your go-to?
There is no one best bait.
The best bait is like 20 different things if you ask that on a forum.
Right. And people, it's funny too, because people will, bluegills are the best bait. Shad is the best bait. And you ask people, and they're like, well, I catch all my fish on shad. What do you fish with? Shad. The truth is that sometimes one bait is preferred over another. Fresh bait generally works better than bait that's not fresh. And bait that, and I know bait wasn't really a topic, but bait that is standard prey in that body of water, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to a place that has shad, then shad is probably the main forage, and I will use shad as bait, probably, right? If I'm going to a place where there's no shad, I'm not going to bring shad. I'm going to catch bluegills or sunfish are probably the primary forage, and I'll catch those there and use those. The only, so as far as rules of thumb, whatever is going to be like the main forage in that body of water is going to be the best bait to use as a rule. And all the other stuff, all of the hot dogs and chicken livers and stink bait, punch bait, all that stuff, they all have their time and place. But and everybody is going to have a story about how they caught some giant fish on, a piece of roadkill or whatever. But generally speaking, those baits you will on average catch smaller fish, because when catfish are small, they're scavengers. As they get bigger and larger, their predatory nature kicks in, and they become more predators, and they don't have to scavenge and get table scraps to eat. They want to find and kill something, right? So a piece of cut bait that's being drifted along presents the illusion of a wounded bait fish, right? So if you use cut bait exclusively, right, and you're using bait that is the standard prey in that body of water, you will on average catch larger fish over time than if you're just taking whatever stinky thing you can find and throwing it out on the bottom. So there's a tip if you're after bigger fish.
Again, mind blown. So stuff like this, like tips like this, I mean, comes through experience, I'm assuming. I mean, how do you... Because my thing is it through experience?
I read it on Facebook.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, then everybody go to Facebook.
It was in a meme.
Well, the people that with the experience will say that stuff on Facebook. So technically, you're not wrong.
That's true. That's true, right?
And that's well, that's a cool thing though. Like I said though, it's just it's almost one of those things where it's common sense, but you don't think about that in that sense, because in a way, through this podcast, I feel that you put your mind in the fish's mind. So,
I absolutely try to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we can't think what the hell a fish is thinking, but in a sense, it's almost like to be successful, I guess, when you know, catfishing or whatever, just fishing in general, that you kind of literally put yourself in that fish's mind, wherever the specific location, pond, lake, river. Okay, what kind of food is in there? So you kind of put in yourself.
So you know, this is and this is an abstract kind of idea, right? But you're going in this direction, so I don't normally get out here this left. But what I do is kind of I try and create a model of the fish behavior, right? I have a theory, right, which is just a model of, okay, this is what fish do. This is the basic, you know, they've got pre-spawn and spawn. I mean, this is not anything unique that I do, but, you know, so I have a model of fish behavior, and then how does that apply to different bodies of water, right? So if these are the natural fish behaviors, how are they going to apply in this body of water versus how are they going to apply in this body of water, right? And then so you build up this idea about what fish ought to do and why they ought to do it, and you know, then I'm always trying to refine it. And so that's where you get to prediction. You know, that's the whole fun part. Okay, if I'm right, I should be able to fish this location. You know, I can look at the map when I'm going out of town and look at a body of water and be like, I should be able to find fish here this time of year. You know, or if not here. And so I show up with a game plan, and then, well, does it play out, or do I need to learn more? Do I need to keep making that model better and better? And that's in my head, in my own strange world. That's what I'm always trying to do. And he killed the conversation.
I know. In a lot of your videos, game plan is a big part of success.
Right?
Yeah. That's what I've taken away from a lot of your videos.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you just show up with, I don't know,
I'm just gonna do whatever.
Buck Perry. So when I was bass fishing, I was a huge fan. I became a huge fan of Buck Perry, who's almost nobody knows of, which is so weird because he is the father of structure fishing, right? He came up with the whole idea of, no, fish don't just live in the shallows. They live in deep water, or they live close to deep water, and they have migration routes from the deep water to the shallow water. And if you can figure out that migration route, you can figure out where to sit. And he used to do this thing where he'd go to a lake and he'd be like, right here. He's like, they're not here now. We just sit here and wait. And they'll fish that spot. And then pretty soon they're loading the boat with fish, you know? And he traveled the country doing this, right? Explaining to people, fish, there's behavior. You can figure out what they're doing and it's clear, right? He used to say, if you just show up and just fish wherever, you're like a lost duck swimming around, you know? And so I always try to make sure I have a game plan and a backup plan and an emergency plan, you know, when I show up, and hopefully hopefully one of them is going to play out.
I got to do that, man. I'm that guy that would just. All right, I get to go. I'm just gonna go, and then I don't know what I'm gonna fish for. I don't even know what's bite. I don't even know what's there. I'm just like, you know what? Something's gonna bite. Hopefully.
Right. Well, sometimes that's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes that works.
Sometimes that's fun.
But
right?
that's and you know, in regards to time constraints, you know, when I'm allowed to go fish, so I don't have the I don't know, the autonomy to just I gotta focus. I'm going this day. I'm doing all this. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm gonna focus. What am I gonna bring out there? I think this is what is biting in time, temperature, or whatever. I don't get that opportunity. I just go. Boss says, "Hey, you're okay to go tomorrow." I'm going. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where I'm going, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go fish and hopefully I get. But it makes sense that if you have a game plan that. It's only it's not going to guarantee you're going to work, but percentage wise, over the long run, you'll have more success than non-success.
That's actually why what you're describing is why I like to have a game plan, because you know I work, I'm busy, I don't get to fish. Spencer, right? Spencer's got all summer off, right? Spencer gets to experiment. You know, Spencer gets to, I'm going to go try this thing, and I'm going to try that thing, and I'm going to, you know, just fish with this or put this bait out. And he has time to fail because he can get out every day, 3 times a day. You know, I don't get to do that. I get to go out on the weekends, you know, and so I want to catch fish, you know,
So anybody's listening, I don't think we mentioned Spencer, some guy, I don't know, his name's is it River Certified?
Here we go.
I don't know. That's the guy.
Ego certified. I like to call him.
Ego certified.
The Rachel Ray of the river, right? Because he's all he does is cooking now, right?
That is true. He is a Rachel Ray of the Rachel Ray.
Yeah, he's coming up with his own like fish batter and all these. Yeah.
All right. Let's see if he listens to this podcast.
So speaking of Spencer,
if he thinks that his name got brought up, he'll listen. Right? If we're talking about him, he'll listen for the ego boost. But if otherwise, then he's not interested. I guarantee it.
So how do we
know?
Challenge to see if he listens to this one or not. Just curious. What do you guys think? I'm putting a beer on the line on it.
Beer on the line?
Yeah. If he listens. And he hits us up like, I heard you freaking idiots talking about me on this specific subject.
Nope. Unless you tell him that we were talking about him or he got brought up, he's not in.
Okay.
I'll put a beer on it.
All right. So we're doing this. He's gonna put a beer on it and he won't know. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is
we're signing him up.
Yeah, we're signing him up. Sorry, Spencer. But okay,
I get out with him enough. I'll just steal beer from him. So,
and we'll give this a 2-week challenge.
2 weeks?
We'll give him 2 weeks to listen or not, or watch or whatever. See, that's the thing. He has multiple opportunities.
Right?
Watch, listen, doesn't matter. And what we'll do is he'll have to buy us all around if he does not listen within 2 weeks. And if he does and says, you know what, you bastards, all of us has to buy him 1 round of beer. Fair deal. So, and then we can't say, hey, Spencer, you know, whatever. We'll just tell him, hey, by the way, we did a new podcast. You may want to listen to it. Right. We'll leave it at that.
It's with Denny, and I mean, I don't know Spencer that well, but from what I have, you know, picked up from, I feel like if he has a chance to give Denny
yeah, if he's got an opportunity to try and rip on me, he'll be there.
Oh, Denny did a podcast with these guys. F Denny.
Oh man, that's funny. But we'll definitely put that up, and then before the end of this here, Kith's got to do some donkey kicks sooner or later. I'm thinking.
Wait, for what?
So everybody who's watching our previous episode, as I mentioned, that's why I'm no longer doing bottles.
Wait, they should go and watch that first.
Yep.
So they know why I would be doing donkey cakes.
Let's do this. I'll do a giveaway again. So we'll do this. So on this one, anybody who's watching, listen to this right now. If you guys go back and find out the reason being why I'm not going to be doing any bottles for a while because somebody decided to open a beer the incorrect way or something, go back and watch that video. I'll post it in the link. If you're watching YouTube, if you're listening to this just on a podcast, I'll put it in the show notes, the link for that. So the first person goes there, go to that video, comment. What I'll do is I'll do a quick giveaway. I'll actually do a mask since I have it right here because I'm going to give it to a face shield. Sorry, mask, face shield, same thing, whatever. But I'll do a face shield right here. MaPop face shield. I'll do a quick giveaway. First person who comments on that video. And yeah, that's why I only do cans because somebody did a big boo-boo on his place. Thank goodness it wasn't my place. But anyways, we'll go back to man. We literally left and right today.
So speaking of Spencer, how do you know Spencer? Like, what's your relationship with him? Like you guys appear in each other's videos all the time.
And before you go, I just want to say I am one of the bigger fans of you and Spencer, your guys' YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check both of their channels out because I feel you guys are real and you guys really not only are entertaining, but you guys just totally are yourselves.
Right.
So just give you guys a compliment.
Well, thank you.
Not kissing your ass or anything, but
that you know, one of the when I started doing the YouTube thing, I really honestly I kind of struggled with this deal about okay, well you have to be like this and you have to be like that, and I saw people having channels and you know I tried to find my sweet spot with it where you know slogans and catchphrases and every time it started to get to where I felt like I was putting on a show and I wasn't being me, I didn't like it. Then I'm like, this isn't fun because I feel like it's fake and I don't like that, you know. So I do try and be, you know, I mean, I'm, you know, kind of a dork anyway, so it's easy to be entertaining when you're the fool. But yeah, so no, but I appreciate that. But Spencer, Spencer is it's funny, we get, and Spencer, when I met Spencer, I was trying to figure out the video thing, and it wasn't long after we started fishing together that I put out a couple of videos, and I was doing like, I started off with just like it was like just a montage, like kayak fishing for catfish is fun. Here's a video to like just a hype video, you know, it was music, it was like just a music video, and I liked making that, and I wasn't trying to pretend that I was teaching people anything. I wasn't an expert. I'm just like, this is fun. Capture the excitement. That was all, you know. And then people started asking, "Oh, can you do a video about how you do this or how you do that?" But so Spencer had no interest in video, right? And then a little bit of interest, and then he was like, "The first time I lose a fish because I'm messing with a camera, I'm done," you know. Whatever, you know, that's fine, you know, do it, don't do it, whatever, man, you know. And then, but he, you know, and then he's like, well, all right, I'm kind of inspired. I like your videos, and I feel like I want to do some video editing, you know. And now, and I'm gonna give Spencer total credit. I mean, Spencer's channel has blown up.
Yeah.
You know, he is, and in all fairness, props to Spencer because Spencer hustles, right? I mean, he's done a long time of like putting out 2 videos a week. Which, I mean, when you don't have a real job is a lot easier to do.
True.
When you're off 3 months of the year.
I'm just going to mention that, right? But not that I'm in any way envious. But so, you know, so he's earned it. He has. But we both get, it's funny, we both get a lot of comments from people, you guys need to do more stuff together because together you're hilarious, you know? And it's because we like to give each other a hard time. We have, you know, a similar attitude towards it, that it's just all fun and we don't get our feelings hurt, and you know, it makes the day go by. And we both love what we're doing, you know. We both really, you know, love fishing and love the adventure part of it, you know. And we'll go out, if I want to do something that's probably going to be stupid, Spencer's the guy I'm going to call. And it's the same way with him. If, you know, we might hit 3 strainers we have to crawl over today.
All right, so that was the end of part 2 with Denny. Check in next week. We'll have the last part 3, with Denny at Float Fish Adventures. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. See you guys next week.